with the Prevnar 13 pneumococcal 13 valent conjugate vaccine, diphtheria CRM 197 protein. Prevnar 13 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 13 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Prevnar 13 does not protect against all strains of the disease. Ask your doctor or pharmacist today about Prevnar 13. Learn more at Prevnar13.com. Don't get Prevnar 13 if you have had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with a weakened immune system may have a lower response to the vaccine. The most commonly reported side effect was pain at the injection site. For additional common side effects and full prescribing information, please call 1-866-694-9300 or visit Prevnar13.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Manal Fakori, candidate to be your next mayor of Ocala. If you are registered to vote by mail, you should have already received your ballot in the mail or should be getting it soon. Make sure your voice is heard. Fill out your ballot and put it in the mail today. Your ballot must be received by the Supervisor of Elections office before 7 p.m. on Election Day, September 21st, so don't delay. Vote for Ocala. Vote Dr. Manal Fakori for mayor.
Celebrity Soul Food flagship restaurant is now here in Ocala. Best-in-class service and legendary recipes. You'll be elevated with a classy design in this 3,800 square foot restaurant with a menu that has scratch-made dishes prepared with a VIP experience for every guest. Located at 2237 Southwest 19th Avenue, right on Easy Street. Celebrity Soul Food. This is food with soul.
September 21st. September 21st. Why do I keep repeating September 21st? Because that's when the Ocala residents have the privilege of helping determine how Ocala is governed. By voting, Ocala residents then have a voice in local issues. Every vote matters. Voting is a privilege. It's also your responsibility. If you don't vote, you give up the right to complain about the outcome. So what are you going to be doing on September 21st? You're going to go out and vote September 21st. The Ocala Golf Club, one of Ocala's premier golf courses, from its pristine 18-hole course layout to its amazing pro shop. Jason Linhart and the staff at Ocala Golf offer everything that you need for your golf outing. That's the Ocala Golf Club. Experience country club style golf at municipal prices. You won't go wrong with the Ocala Golf Club. Call them for a tee time today, 352-401-6917.
You know what you want to do in retirement, but do you know how to get there? Tune in to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors, Sunday mornings at 8 to get answers to your retirement planning questions. Plan today so you can do the things you've always dreamt about doing in retirement. Listen Sunday mornings at 8 to Coasting into Retirement with Gary Marriage of Nature Coast Financial Advisors.
Our firm offers insurance services.
Hey, Matt, I know Sunrise Automotive does auto stuff, but I need some tires for my truck. Can you recommend someone?
Yes, I can. We do that.
No, I mean I need them installed and balanced and all that.
Yep, we do that.
Well, my son needed his windows tinted.
Yep, we do that.
I need my seat replaced.
Yep, we do that too.
I need a new roof line and a new spoiler and a new
trunk.
Yep,
we can even do that too.
Okay, I get it. I suppose you can also do a radio show too.
Well, as a matter of fact, join me, Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Automotive, every Tuesday at 10 for auto repair with personal care right here on The Source.
Auto repair with personal care, we know what we're talking about. Matt Gibbs and the guys over at Sunrise Automotive will treat you right,
That's right, it's Matt Gibbs with Sunrise Auto. He is in studio with us. Matt, good morning to you.
Morning.
So I have something I need to talk to you right away.
Okay.
You know, I got 2010 SRX.
Cadillac, yeah.
Yeah, Cadillac.
Yeah.
You like to say Cadillac.
Cadillac.
It makes me sound important. Okay, Cadillac.
Cadillac.
Yeah, it's Cadillac. I got a letter in the mail last week. Stop driving your vehicle. Park it. Get a tow truck to bring it to us immediately at the dealership for a recall item.
Okay.
And the recall item is they've decided that the StabiliTrak and ABS systems come on and off and maybe a danger to you. Because mine, like right now, I hadn't seen the StabiliTrak light come on. I mean, it comes on I told you about 6 months ago I had an issue with it. You, well, we may need to reset your computer. Remember we talked about that? But then it went off. And it could be a loose sensor or something. Well, I get that letter on Monday. Tuesday, I crank the truck up. StabiliTrak's been on the whole time. Since that letter.
That's good.
It's like it knows the post office delivered the letter. First off, is it as serious as they're making it sound, like it's detrimental to me driving the vehicle? And second, do I have to take it to them, or can I take it to my guy, or could somebody bring it to you because it's a recall item and you could get the stuff from the dealership and replace it? So it's a two-part question.
Okay, so the first question is it detrimental to drive?
Right.
Okay, probably not. But here's the thing: whether it's an ABS, StabiliTrak, check engine light, service now light, whenever those lights come on, and the car's still operating, it's telling you that there's an issue.
Right.
Right, and the issue's happening right now. So with the StabiliTrak light coming on and staying on, we have an issue right at this moment.
Explain to me first off what StabiliTrak is.
So StabiliTrak is going to be like if you're sliding down a road, it might make the engine drop cylinders, miss. It'll try to make it to where the car's stable on the road. Okay, so if it's raining, anti-locks brakes.
Right, I know what ABS is.
So if you slam on the brake, it's not an anti-skid, it's an anti-lock. So the one thing we got to understand, and you can try this.
Yeah, in the rain, when you slam on my brakes, it goes.
Right, the whole car starts shaking.
Yeah,
and what it is the calipers are pulsating like 15 times a second.
Right.
And that allows you to steer under extreme braking. If you didn't do that, wherever you slammed on the brakes, whatever direction you're going is the direction you're going to be going. No matter what you do with
the steering wheel. And then people say, if you go into a skid, turn in that direction of the skid. Once you're in a skid, you're in the skid.
That's it. You're just hanging on.
Right.
You ever watch NASCAR guys? They just fold
they just
their arms up and let it go.
So the steering wheel don't break their arms.
That's right. Yeah. Just hang on to it. So in your case, so here's the deal. So the factory's saying if we have a StabiliTrak ABS issue,
11 years later.
Okay. Well, and
they say in the letter specific to the 2010 SRX.
Yeah.
They say in the letter it's specific to the SRX 2010, not any other Cadillac 2010 year or anything, right. Just the SRX 2010.
But if you now if I went in there and did a little research, I'll probably find out that the SRX, the Chevy Equinox, the Buick Encore,
because they all sit on
the same chassis,
right?
So it's across the GM board, I'm sure. But they have to tell you to have it towed in, because if it's an anti-lock brake issue,
CYA.
Oh man, you have to. Even though it might not be detrimental to you, if you got into a situation with that light on, you're still going to have brakes, but you're going to have brakes prior to ABS. You're going to have the brakes that is not going to allow you to steer. You're going to have the brakes that's not going to it's not going to lock up. They will lock up. It won't. It's going to be old style brakes.
Yeah, when you step on the brakes, it's going to skid instead of vibrating.
Exactly. So they have to tell you to have it stop driving, tow it in, because what if that light's on at that moment, you get that letter, and then you get an accident?
Right.
Well,
they act like it could be a long, drawn-out process to do this recall.
It could be,
because the letter says expect to be without your vehicle 3 to 5 business days.
Okay, so the first I worked at the Cadillac store and I worked for GM.
Right.
So the first thing that you ought to do, and listen, and if anybody's out there driving one of these vehicles that have any kind of recall on them, first thing you do is call the dealer and find out if parts are available. We used to get bombarded with people for recalls, and we haven't even gotten the parts yet.
Right, for the recall.
For the recall. So contact, but now, here's the deal. If you're driving the car and something happens, and you've been told not to drive the car,
then I'm liable.
Then you're liable.
Cadillac's not.
Right.
I just don't. Why did it take them 11 years to figure this out? I wonder.
It didn't take them 11 years to figure it out. What it did take.
It took them 11 years to where it might cost them money if they didn't do something about it.
So what's the next step? What's the next step? A class action lawsuit. So now it's like, okay, let's do the recall. So, and I'll be honest with you, I work for a new car store. It's not like they're not trying to do the recalls.
Right.
Here's the thing about it. So let's just say you said, you know what, I ain't going down. I'm going to keep driving my car. I'm not ever. They get penalized for you not to have your recall done.
Really?
Yes, the factory, General Motors will pay a fine or penalty or how if you don't get it done. So they're going to do everything in their power for you, Tom, to bring that Cadillac to the dealer let them fix it.
Because that way they don't have to pay a fine.
They don't have to pay a fine.
And it, a nice letter and everything, but it's a scare letter.
Absolutely.
It tells you, park the vehicle now, get it to us immediately.
Absolutely.
And all that's CYA, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. They have to. And the other thing, that part 2 to your question was, I cannot do any kind of a warranty work or recall work unless I've been contracted by the manufacturer. In the past, our company has been contracted by Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company is actually contracted with us and a whole bunch of independent garages right now, to where if we run their VIN number,
right,
we can get a special app from Ford, and we can run like if a customer comes in, I run their VIN number under their Ford app. If there's an open recall, if that customer will go to the Ford dealership to have the recall done, and that recall has to do with airbags,
right,
I get a point, and for every point that I get $1 from Ford
for sending them in.
For sending them in.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because because like I said, if people don't get their stuff done, they have to pay penalties.
They'd rather pay you the $1 than pay the penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, see what, $1.
$1.
You're on with Matt Gibbs from Sunrise Auto. And they hung up.
Okay, so
they were on.
Okay,
and then they hung up.
So this is auto repair, personal care. Now, can I switch gears for a second?
Sure, show, pal.
Okay, so I'm shifting it, and we're going into third. I want to ask you, and I want this to be like transparent. I want it to be on the air with all 13 listeners. We're up to 14.
We're up to 14 listeners now.
Okay, so
Sonny's got his brother from New York listening.
So we have, to me, this is a very important deal. What are
we talking about here?
We're going to talk about the mayor's race.
Oh, and the Ocala mayoral race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know a thing or two about it.
I know you do, and I haven't had the opportunity to spend as much time with this whole thing like you have.
Can we put that on hold and take one call?
Yeah, well, let's take a call.
Let's take a call real quick. Good morning. You're on with Matt Gibbs.
Good morning, Matt. This is Sonny calling.
Hey, Sonny.
Just up to two years ago, actually the year and a half ago, I still got a recall notice for my Pontiac Vibe. And I was really surprised. Number one, they don't make Pontiacs anymore. And to get a recall, was it 7 years after the car has been made, really amazed me. And it was for the CPU, I believe.
Okay.
And I guess was really, really impressed, in other words, about why they're still doing the recalls. And I'll hang up and listen if you have anything to say about that.
Sonny, that makes a good point, because I was very surprised. At 11 years,
right,
they sent me a recall notice. Sonny, at 7 years, and they don't even make Pontiacs anymore, and they sent him a recall. That might surprise some people that they still do that, but that's CYA, isn't it?
Yeah, if they have to, they know how many Pontiac Vibes are still out on the road. They know how many, how many 2010 Cadillac SRXs are out on the road. So therefore, they have to, they run all the numbers, they do all the math, they do all the stuff that they need to do.
Is a class action lawsuit more money or less money than fixing this?
That's right. So,
and it's all about money.
It always is.
It's not about people that, oh, that was nice. Safety of me. No, it's not about my safety.
Right.
It's about, will a lawsuit cost them more money or fixing the problem cost them more money?
Exactly.
And we know that because Pintos blew up because of an $11 part.
Yep.
Okay? Because there were so many Pintos, the $11, Ford made a decision that $11 piece of equipment would be more costly than a lawsuit.
And there you have
And,
it.
that's fact, folks. It's not conjecture. That is actually the decision Ford made in the 70s about the gas bomb Pintos. I think it was a little piece of plastic or something. It was $11.
Yeah, just like I think a little one-way valve.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
that was $11.
Yeah.
And it was more cost effective to Ford to get sued than it was to fix that problem.
And we still do those same things today.
So now let's go back to we're in third gear again.
All right, so
You
now
want to talk about the mayor's race?
I do. I want to talk about the mayor's race, and the reason I wanted to talk to you about the mayor's race.
Well, I know who you're voting for because there's a big sign and you're on your property.
And and that's the first person that I've ever allowed to put a sign on my property.
And it's a big sign.
And it's a big sign.
You walk by, it says Kent Gwynn big.
And there's a little sign underneath that one.
Yeah, a little right.
Just in case you missed
you're
that
looking
bit.
lower.
That's right. So here's my dilemma. Okay, here's my my struggle.
Okay.
Okay, so my struggle is the city council people.
Yes.
I watched 2 weeks ago we had
them all here. Yeah.
Right.
Over the course of the week, we had everybody all through all 4 districts and the mayoral race.
And I'm confused about. Okay, this is my thought.
Uh-huh.
My thought is, wouldn't it be best to have the city council folks that the mayor feels like he could work the best with as city councilman?
Because we have a weak mayor system here and a strong council and city administrator, the mayor working with city council is not that big a deal.
Okay.
It's the city administrator that has to work with city council.
Okay.
The mayor just oversees the police department and has veto rights to city council, but usually if city council passes something, if the mayor vetoes it, the city council has enough votes to say, all right, we understand why you did that, ceremonial, now get out of our way. So the mayor doesn't really have a whole lot. There's not a whole lot of reason for the mayor to work well with city council.
Okay.
There's a reason for the city administrator to work well with city council, and that's why city administrator is appointed by city council, not elected.
Okay.
Because the city administrator has to answer to somebody. Now, recently, with things that have happened, it seems like city council didn't make the city administrator answer to certain issues, but about the firing of Shane Alexander, the fire chief. But the mayor's position here is more a ceremonial position than it is anything else, except for the fact that the mayor oversees the police department, and the mayor is the one who nominates to city council police chief, and then city council approves or doesn't approve. Although I don't know that city council has ever not approved of a nomination that the mayor made. Now, both mayor candidates have said that they would. Kent Gwynn says Mike Balkin would stay if he wins. Mike Balkin would stay chief of police. Manal Fakori has said if she wins, she would meet with the chief. She would discuss with the chief her ideas of how things should go. She would get his feedback. She said he would stay the chief, but that everything was,
up to
right. She would stay with the chief because she believes the chief is doing a good job. But unlike Kent Gwynn said, there's no meeting with the chief. No, he's our chief. Right. That's how Kent Gwynn looks at it. And so that's what the one item that everybody says is the police and who oversees the police.
Yeah, and for me, that's a huge one. I mean, that's the whole thing right there.
Well, that's the real job of the mayor.
Right. Okay. And so now these councilmen that are going to come and work with the city administrator or
yes.
the city manager. So I guess so. The real question is which one of the candidates is going to do what we need to have done as far with the city manager?
Well, that depends on what you think needs to be done with the city manager.
And that's okay.
Because if you think the city manager does a good job, even though they had the one hiccup with Shane Alexander, but overall, city manager does a good job, you'd probably vote to keep the council as the way the two incumbents would probably be who you'd vote for, because they have publicly said in a vote that they would not fire the city manager. So, and that's the key here, is a lot of this hinges on, will the new candidates look to stay with the city manager, or if they become city council people, are they immediately going to look to replace the city manager? You don't know. And nobody's answering that question. You know, so we'll look. We look at everything. We're new members of the council. You know, they give you that stock answer, but it's both. That's why the city council races, 4 of the 5 are up for election, and the mayor's race is so pivotal because if 4 people change, if it's 4 new people on council, there's a very real possibility the city administrator could be fired because the people that ran against the incumbents because of a lot of reasons was how the incumbents voted with the city manager over the Shane Alexander issue.
Right.
If the mayoral race, if Manal Fakori wins, then there's concern about how the police department will be run. Right. So it's a very pivotal election for our city in who stays as city manager and who stays as chief of police.
Right.
The two of the 3 most important positions to me. There's 4 very important positions, okay? City manager, police chief, fire chief, and the head of the electric company. And those 4 are very important. They all work under the city administrator. Those are very important. And we have an election where, depending on how the outcome is, the city manager and the chief of police could both be out of a job.
Right. And
that, do you really want a city with that kind of chaos going on?
Nope. I don't. And I just, nobody typically goes out and votes on this particular election. It just seems like the numbers
about 5,000 people will show up out of 35,000 registered voters.
So, I mean, I just would like to ask those that are listening today that are registered voters in the city of Ocala.
35,000, about 34,000, I think.
Okay. So we're talking to 14, and if everybody can talk to 2 people, and those people can talk to 2 people, I'm just saying, please listen. We have a right, a privilege.
You have a civic duty.
Right.
It is a privilege. It is what the forefathers gave us through the freedom of the Constitution. But it's your civic duty. Just as the same as, to me, voting and jury duty is the same. To me, you should be held in contempt of court if you don't vote. I'm telling you, I'm a strong believer that if you don't vote, you should face some sort of criminal penalty. People say, Tom, that's ludicrous. That means they don't have freedom. They have to vote. A lot of people died so that we could go to the ballot box.
That's right.
Well, I exercise my right not to go to the ballot box. You're a loser. You're a moron. You are probably the dumbest human on the face of the earth if you say, I exercise my right not to vote. You're a moron. Matter of fact, if you're a friend of mine on Facebook, defriend me. Because if you tell me that argument, I will be a dumber person for having listened to it.
And there you have it.
I mean, it's your life. It's your community. You're talking about the people that are duly elected to govern you. And if you don't do anything to help elect them or not elect them, you ain't got no say.
That's right.
And you can't run your mouth about how good a job or how bad a job they're doing.
That's right. Come on, preach it.
To me, the most important thing we have as citizens of the United States of America, and I'm talking about citizens here, not illegals who want to vote, citizens.
Right.
The most important thing we have that we as Americans have to do is vote.
And I still believe with all my heart that in Ocala, Marion County, that we are still counting and doing the voting. Honestly,
Wesley Wilcox is as honest as the day is long.
I believe that.
I don't think, for all these people say, oh, there may be corruption, and I don't think that, if this vote comes out and Manal Fakori wins, it'll be because she won, not because anything was hanky.
Right.
Okay, if Kent Gwynn wins, it'll be because he won, not because anything's hanky.
And that's the way it
needs
to be.
Because Wesley Wilcox is very good at his job and runs a very good ship. And if you don't agree with that, you're a moron, and if I would be dumber for arguing with you about that.
And
because Wesley does a good job.
And that's something that I think is very important at this time, is because I think a lot of people have lost faith in the system. By the way,
we were done. Wesley Wilcox in the general election in November of last year the county was finished. Absentee ballots voted, counted, early voting counted, everything counted. Voting on that day, everything. By 8:15. Polls closed at 7. We had our totals done by 8:15. The entire state of Florida was done and 100% reporting by 9:45 that night. We're getting it right here in Florida. We didn't used to. You remember 2000. We didn't always get it right. And people say, oh, the Democrats stole this election in 2020. I refer you to 2000. The guy that won, he won because the state his brother was the governor of was the deciding factor. I'm not saying how one way or the other. I'm just saying optics. So this is not a new phenomenon. But Wesley Wilcox, our supervisor of elections, is above reproach, in my opinion.
And me too. And I just want to assure that to the people of Ocala.
No matter who wins, they won because they earned the votes to win, not because there were illegal votes or not real votes. They won because they won. Wesley, he is the best supervisor of elections in the state of Florida. But that's because he works for the best county in the state of Florida.
That's right.
Out of the 67 counties, they're all great. I would take Broward-Dade County, as liberal as it is, Alachua County, as liberal as it is. I would take those over any county anywhere else in the country. Because, I love my Georgia. But I believe with all my heart, I live in the best state in the United States, and I live in the best county in the state that's the best state in the United States.
I'm with you.
That's how. And Marion County is. I love Statesboro, Georgia. Don't get me wrong. Went to college here, lived there for a very long time. Statesboro is a great little town. Ocala is the same type of place as Statesboro, with a better mix of people. And it only gets below freezing 1 or 2 times a year. But I will tell you, Coach Russell, my coach at Georgia Southern, said if you listen to your mom and dad and you say your prayers, you do everything right in your life, when you die, you go to Statesboro. I like to think now, when you die, you go to Ocala. Because we got a good little town here. We got a good little county. Look, Dunellin's great. Bellevue's great. We're lucky where we live and how good it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want I guess I just want to keep it that way. I want it to stay that way. I want Ocala to stay the way Ocala is. I don't want it to become something that it's not.
I agree with you. Matt, tell them where they can find you.
You can give me a call at 352-690-1993 or come by and see me at 1800 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala.
It's the one with the big sign out front. We'll be right back after this timeout. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA, The Source.